We're live. Welcome to Game 2. I'm Timothy Bennett.
So I'm Derek Antoine.
And so, since last time, last game, we played, South Alabama played against Newberry, won the series 2-1. So, what are we thinking going into this game?
Going into this game, I think that last week South played very well, and I think that they were very consistent as well. They quickly recognized their problems and fixed them going into game three because it was a 1-1 series, and then with South taking game three pretty convincingly too, and hopefully they can keep it up versus their opponents Catawba College today.
I agree. I think since last game they had some problems initially, just kind of letting the Jinx get ahead in the last game was very devastating for them. And they had a really huge peel comp on Newberry's side, but South Alabama did manage to pull the game around in game 3 and was a lot more consistent. So they seemed, from game to game, they seemed to learn from their uh, games and improve their play pretty drastically over those few games.
Yeah, I just think if they keep their play consistent, and it should be a good series.
All right, we're going to switch to the drafting phase now, and we've already got a few bans out.
Okay, on the side of South Alabama, they decided to already ban Akali and Fizz versus the Catawba mid laner. I did see Fizz when looking at his OP.GG. I didn't really see Akali, but I also didn't look into much detail. I only saw Fizz.
Yeah, we're seeing a
Oh, I did
Lucian.
see Elise from
Yeah, they've done their
on they found this
research.
as well. On the side of Catawba, they their bands are generally good. I don't know if South necessarily plays those champions. I know our ADC plays Lucian. I don't know about GP, but all three of these champs are pretty good right now. Lucian maybe being the worst of the three, but if someone knows how to play Lucian, it's definitely scary regardless.
Yeah, agreed. And so getting that Lucian out of the way, Lucian in a lot of comps can be pretty strong, especially level 3 if he's played either bot or mid. Occasionally you do see him played in the mid lane. He's pretty strong with a lot of comps, and especially level 3 that can be very deadly. I guess with this Zaya and Rakan picks they have, they just don't want to have to deal with that early on. They've picked
Mhm. So,
Zillion.
yeah, surprisingly, we see a first pick Zillion on the side of USA, and in return, the Zyrecon is locked in for Catawba. Uh, maybe South has something cooking when it comes to Zillion first pick. I feel like he's maybe I feel like personally he's not that strong of a champion. He is good, but there should be much more priority towards the jungle in my opinion,
Right.
as is very strong this patch
Yeah, I
and this
agree.
season overall.
Yeah, getting a jungler first pick might be the better option, but this does secure Zillion, and Zillion does have the resurrection for his teammates, and that's really good, especially if they're going to be building Varus into this. They're going to want to make sure he's alive, and they're getting some more peel from Sejuani, and Sejuani we saw was a pretty common pick actually. From the last series, from what I remember.
Yeah,
So
Sejuani being a very, very strong champion this patch as well. Um, very also consistent. She's not like overtuned in my opinion as like say Maokai Zach, Amumu, those type of things, but she's just very consistently good. And on the side of Catawba, Silas is locked in. There's very good ultis to steal. There's Zillion ulti, there's Varus ulti, and Sejuani.
yeah, there's a lot to steal from that Silas pick for the Silas. So that's a really good pick on Catawba College's side. So the question is, how is South going to respond to this with their next picks? On the note of Sejuani, she's all around pretty good. That's why we see the pick so commonly. She has a lot of good disable engage. She's always been pretty strong in this patch and the last few patches as well, but especially this patch right now. And we get Gnar being picked.
Yeah. From the side of Catawba, they ended up banning both Jax and Syndra. I don't know if they're afraid. We're also not sure if this Silas is jungle or mid because he is also very good in the jungle right now. And so that is a bit of a flex, but so is Varus as well. Varus could also be ADC or mid lane, but most likely will be going towards bot.
Most likely towards bot. We're probably seeing Allow go top
Oh,
here.
yeah.
We saw
Alawi versus Nar. I'm not sure about this matchup, but they South did play the Alawi in the last series and it wasn't too good in the early stages of the game, which is just Alawi as a champion in general, but he was able to outscale the opposing Mordekaiser
yeah,
and
that was a huge
essentially just scale up.
That was yeah, it was a huge thing in the last series. So we saw a lot of scaling from the Alawi. The question then is though, is that could the South Alabama actually outscale Zaya? Because Zaya is one of the hardest scaling in the game. At least my opinion, she is. There's
Mhm.
only like a few champions that scale really much harder than her. Late game, she is a serious threat, and so they're gonna have to either shut her down early or hope to be able to outscale them. And I think Kassadin is their answer to Zaya. Zaya scaling.
Okay, and they're hovering Jason as Jace mid lane. I did also see that when I was looking at Kataba's P.GG. So it's gonna be mid Jace, Jace versus Kassadin, and that is actually a horrible matchup for Kassadin. And Jace is very very strong right now. So if I was South Alabama, I would be looking to play as Sejuani, mostly play towards maybe the bot lane, but it's also a very hard game I think in like for Sejuani.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot for her to deal with early on. I mean, I think what we're seeing here is that Silas mid. We have, or no, is that just
No,
junk?
no, that's Silas jungle, and then that's
Yeah,
Jace mid.
yeah, and so that's gonna be Jace mid. So yeah, this is definitely not winning for Kassadin early, but I think the point is that they need the Sejuani to try to go for early ganks for the Kassadin in hopes that they will be able to help the Kassadin scale up. If they can't help the Kassadin scale up, then that's going to be a problem. Because if Zaya scales much harder, Zaya is just going to be a nightmare for South Alabama to deal with.
Most definitely. Um, because it's on the side of Catawba, they also scale pretty well, but I think that there is much harder scaling when it comes to, of course, Kassadin hitting his level 16 spike, or
Right.
even level 11. Level 11 is also very good for Kassadin. It's slept on in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Varus is also I'm interested in what Varus build will be looking at here. Personally, I think that lethality Varus would be good in this game.
Right.
Only due to there's only one real frontliner in there in
Yeah.
Catawba side.
Yeah. Usually you wouldn't want to go into a tank Buster Varus or AP Varus unless you're going for tank busting, and unless Gnar becomes that much of a problem, Varus's best pick here would definitely be a lethality Varus. But besides
Mhm.
that, what we're seeing is going to be pretty good scaling from Varus and Kassadin. So, what I think though is on South Alabama side, they probably have more scaling, but we see a lot of dives here from Catawba College, is that they're going to be able. They have the Nar dive, they have Silas, they have Rakan, they have a lot of engage to work with, right? And I think what's going on South Alabama side is they have a lot. They have some engage from Sejuani, especially Kassadin, but one of those engages is only going to be really the most useful later on.
Yeah.
So up until about late game, what's going to be happening is that there's going to be a lot of engage from Catawba College, and South Alabama just has to survive it.
Yeah, it'll mostly from the side of South Alabama, the engage mostly comes from Sejuani and Varus ultis. And I think the play is to just not allow Silas to snowball because he's he's such a threat to South Alabama's team at the moment. I think also that Zillion is so much better now looking at the comp because if Zillion can keep like Varus alive or Cassin alive when Cassin is around level 11 or past 11, then I think that they ended up eventually winning the fight if they can kill Jace early.
Right. And these
Because
fights,
Jace and Silas are probably the ones to look at here, like initially at the beginning of the fight, because Xayah ulti gets her away.
right,
Silas only has W every like 6-7 seconds, depending on
right.
ability haste. But
Yeah,
Jace having no mobility besides Flash
right.
and Q.
Yeah, so getting out some of those initial mobility, but one thing to watch out for is that if Xayah isn't focused enough in these fights, I mean, once she uses ulti, they need to get her to get rid of ulti if they want to win these fights. But as well, if they don't get rid of her in these fights, especially late game, they could end up just seeing a full team wipe. But I think Kassadin
Mm.
scaling might be able to just dive on Xayah late game, and hope.
Yeah, most definitely. South just has to play pretty careful when it comes to the early and mid game, just because they need to ensure the fact that their carries get to scale, just as like because all three lanes are scaling.
Right,
None of them are very good in the early game, and I guess it's the same for Catawba besides Jace and Silas, but
right,
Nar's decent, but like it's more so for South. They're looking to hard scale more so than Catawba.
exactly, yeah. So basically, the main thing is that in this game, we want what we're gonna see that's gonna result in South Alabama winning if they win is they need to just drag this game out, let the Kassadin and the Varus scale long enough, and then Catawba College will hopefully not be able to get too much lead early on. But either way, on both sides, there is still a decent amount of scaling. So for the late game, it's kind of a toss up who wins this late game in terms of scaling. I mean, they both sides scale pretty well.
Yeah, it mostly comes down to the positioning of the teams because if Alawi say I would like to see item wise specifically from Alawi is like maybe like a Gargoyle's stone plate or something. But when they do eventually end up diving South Alabama, she just pops gargoyles and pops her ulti, and then Zillion just hard peels for Vars, and then Caston should relatively be fine. But
Right.
if Vars gets to live the initial engage from Catawba, then most likely it comes out to a win on South Alabama side because then they're jumping into Alawi. Alawi just being there for ulti.
Exactly. Yeah. So the main thing. So yeah, uh from Kataba's side, we just need they want to engage a lot early because they have three engaged champions to work with. If they can get around middle game, they're going to be able to start a lot of fights pretty easily. And on South Alabama side, I could see them starting some fights, but they do have a lot of stuff that kind of goes online later, so they might have that might be a
Hmm.
detriment to them until later happens, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
There and also when it comes to like side laning or so, I think that Kataba's side laning is much stronger with Nar and Jace.
Right.
But Alawi comes on online later on in the game, and then it's not gonna be possible for them to maybe go like 1-3-1 or something similar to that. But South should be looking to probably just group up because they're not very good at the side lane
Yeah.
thing
Exactly.
until like later on. Because Cassidy ends up losing the Jason side lane and Alawi ends up losing the Gnar in side lane until a certain point.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's going to be hard to deal with early on. Kassadin's really going to need a lot of help from a Sejuani to deal with the early game against a Jace because Jace can be very oppressive in lane.
I would like to see some roaming coming from the supports, like mostly Zillion. Uh, if as long as Cassidy doesn't die in lane, I think it should be fine. Even like if he has to give up some type of CS or anything, he should just give it up. As long as he can survive, it should be fine.
Yeah, Kassadin just has to play safe early on, hope for the late game to come uh, to him later. And if he's able to just wait the game out, just let some time pass for him to get in to scale, then you could see an easy victory for South Alabama because they do have enough engaged to work with, and a Cassidon late game is really, really scary to deal with.
Mm. I think that Cassidon, but there's a lot of contesters when it comes to who's the hardest scaling champion nowadays. It used to be Cassidon and Rise, like no doubt, but
Right.
now I'm not sure. There's so many different scaling champions now with Rada
Exactly.
Ages being back in the game, Archangel Stab being buffed,
Yeah.
uh
I don't know.
champions like Zeri.
Looks like we're in. So we are seeing 5 of them going bot on Catawba's side.
Yeah, they're gonna look to probably group into the river bush. Oh no, they're going through lane. They're gonna just clear out every.
Oh, they might be attempting a
Oh, they're
trap
go. Oh,
early.
they're going to try bush. Oh, this is gonna be horrible if
South can't see this coming. We're gonna see what happens.
Varus has to put a ward and just walk away. No, he's gonna get engaged here. He's gonna
He
have to
has to.
flash.
He's gonna have to flash out of that, but he does get away. They force the flash.
And now bot lane has to play very, very careful when it comes to Sylas ganks. If I was Sylas, I would be starting towards top side, towards the red buff, and pathing towards bot, towards this Varus with no flash.
Yeah. Yeah, and without Vars having no flash now on Katab's side, Silas can start early ganks possibly at level 3. So might have been better for him to just path from red all the way down to blue, but it might also be useful to path top against an Alawi. I mean, Nard probably can handle his own having the ranged advantage though, so Silas could also path such that he goes all the way around, starts at blue, goes to red, and then comes down on Cassidon, and that could be an early kill. And shutting down Cassidon is kind of key for Catawba College.
The harassment already starting towards the mid lane when it
Yeah.
comes to the Jace. I'm pretty sure that Cassidy lost those first 3 minions, and hopefully he got the experience for it.
It looks like there's a small fight going out
It's
here.
a big trade. Winning on the side of Catawba, getting more than half of Zillion's HP.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to deal with, especially level 3. Once Zaya gets level 3, she becomes much stronger in that lane. That's going to be a lot to deal with, especially with Rakan down there, being able to knock up.
If if they can if Catawba could trade like that once again for Zillion and get his blow his second pot, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be hard for.
There is a
Oh,
gank.
and then there's a flash for Silas, kind of forced there, but
Well, he's now down to half health. I can't say that that might have been the best move to spend the flash. They were kind of far back there. I don't know if they would have been able to even get that.
that is actually really bad for Silas because now he's pretty behind. He did blue gromp into bot instead of 3 camping, so now he's behind on his clear when it comes to Sejuani. Sejuani's already topside with 1 camp left, and Silas
Yeah.
still has 3. He just now finishing Wolves.
Yeah, and this is going to be detrimental for Silas because now Sejuani can clear the top Scuttle Crab, and that's going to give vision for a possible Herald coming in 4.5 minutes.
Alawi having lane prio, and Jace is taking a cheater recall here, and
Yeah.
but that just because he's recalling, Sejuani is able to get the top scuttle. TP coming out, he was able to just grab the tier, come back. Now
Yeah.
Sejuani, if I was Sejuani, bot is now has priority. So Sejuani could just run through mid lane. Even though Jace just came back, it's fine. You just run through
Yeah.
mid lane, double scuttle, and into your last Krug camp into a base.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
looks like he was looking top lane, but he's just gonna recall. Maybe go Krugs, then the scuttle.
these trades.
It's a
Oh.
big trade on the top side.
Almost pretty even trade. Might be slightly on the allow side. I was seeing the trades mid were actually surprisingly even. We should see that Jay should have the advantage, but it seemed like the trades were surprisingly even. This is
He's
aggressive
taking a
play.
lot of minion damage. This is very scary for Alawi. Alawi has very
Well,
low health and mana, but
well,
so does Nar now since he ate the W.
he's a level down now.
The wave pushing back towards the side of South Alabama and the bot side. Sejuani? Where is she? Oh, she is bot side. She's in the bot
She is looking
bush.
for a gank. She's going to camp there for a little bit by the looks of it. This
I
is getting
wonder if
pushed
they
up into
know
Sejuani.
if. Oh,
Very close
oh,
to
a
a
very
kill.
big trade.
And it looks like 2 are following up from bot. This is about to be a
Oh,
4v3 situation.
Jace is coming in. The flash comes out. Sejuani definitely has to flash. It blows the ignite
Flash.
and Jace flash.
Sejuani
For
will
nothing.
survive. They are in a 4v2 scenario right now. This
No
is
flash on
bad for them.
Vars. Vars is able to get away.
And does
Everybody's
get an
getting.
arrow.
Everyone's able to live on both sides. No one dies.
So this is very interesting. So it looks like they brought 4 down here. It kind of seems like South Alabama probably won on that. I mean, they did have to use some summoners, but that was a situation in which there was a lot of tempo. The Cassidon is now way up on, is actually nearly 12 or 13 CS up on Jace right now, and as it
Yeah,
turns
2
out,
waves up here.
15 CS up is actually worth a kill. So he's almost up basically a kill on Jace right now, which is it's not good for Catawba College because they wanted to get an early lead on Caston, but he's basically just vibing here in mid lane.
Jace roams down bot lane, but blows his flash, but also doesn't get anything from it.
Exactly.
Also, they did burn the Recon summoners, both flash and ignite, just to not get a kill.
Yeah. So they had to burn some summoners, and then the result was they didn't actually get anything. But as a penalty, though, we're seeing South is now at 400 gold, and some of that is definitely probably on Cassidon
On
being up.
Cassidon, most definitely.
Yeah, and now he's still up 13 CS, which is really surprising because I hadn't looked at the CS in a little bit. I kind of expected to see him down on CS, but he's actually ahead. So he's doing pretty well for his lane.
Silas coming in towards top lane. Alawi has
Alawi has
level
ulti,
6, but
it's not going to work. First
not
blood
gonna
goes
work.
to Gnar.
First blood, and it's kind of tragic. Oh, but Zillion has to blow the flash to get away from Recon, and Jace is back bot lane.
Jace has come to bot lane a lot. I'm not sure. I would say these are probably not the best moves for Jace. With Cassidon being at mid lane, that he needs to be focused for at least harassed out of lane. But now he is now up 22 CS. This is huge.
Sejuani gang coming up top lane, but Nar just jumps on ahead and gets out. But there's going to be a trade from Alawi. Just get a little bit of damage on Nar, and that's it. Make him a little bit scared.
Well, he did take a lot of minion damage doing that trade, but it looks like he will be fine.
Yeah, he'll just look in the region, back up with D-Shield.
And he is getting pushed into Alawi.
Catawba has river control towards Dragon, but there's a big trade coming up top, and it's just Alawi goes down and gets solo killed.
Solo kill while under tower, so that isn't going to be pretty bad.
Not respecting Nar's damage enough.
Yeah, Nard does have a lot of damage early on. It's not something to mess around with. They're getting
Catawba ends up getting bot prio, pushes it in, and Jace automatically has prio versus Cassidon, so they just look to get this dragon. First dragon of the game goes to Catawba.
With Cassidon having level 6 now, though, he is able to be a little bit more aggressive against this. Yeah,
good trade comes out.
Big trade, and so now the trades are starting to happen in favor of Cassidon. I think with all the time they spent on bottom, that might have been a mistake, and now we're kind of seeing the consequences of that mistake. Because spending so much time bottom, one, never has not gotten him a single kill. But it also has given Cassidon a ton of space, and now he's up 20 CS on the Jace, so that's going to be a serious problem for them to deal with.
Yeah. Cassidon base damage just carrying the trades because Cassidon opted up for a very defensive rune setup, which he should versus Jace, the #1 lane bully in the game, in my opinion. Besides Renekton, but
well, yeah.
but with Catalyst and D-Shield trading in minions, is actually favorable for Kassadin.
He does take a big hit here though, but he is up. Doesn't
Oh, the Sejuani
connect.
ult comes in, but it doesn't land, so they're just gonna walk away from this. At least they should. Silas is on Raptors right now. Nar jumps in, but but the ult is stopped by the Alawi Unstoppable,
And it's a
and it's
kill.
and the solo comes back after a gank kill and then a solo kill. Alawi solo killing Nar back is absolutely horrible for the side of Catawba. It just puts Alawi back in the game.
Yeah, before they were almost throwing him out of the game basically, but now the gold is pretty much almost even. It's only off by 300 gold, 400 gold deficit with Catawba in the lead. We're seeing mid lane, we're seeing bot lane. It's kind of getting pushed in, but Varus
A little
is
bit
up on
of
CS.
a little bit of miscommunication towards top side. Silas was going to go catch that wave that Nar was gonna lose on the tower, but Nar just TP's back, and it just wasted just a
Small
little
waste of
bit of
time. Yeah.
Silas time, but should be fine. Kassadin is just looking to get whatever means he can. Oh, the Varso comes out, but it whiffs,
Ulti
and the
right.
quickness comes in.
This might be
Oh,
a
this is
devastating pull, but he gets that
he just
2
gets
kills.
absolutely melted. That
Yeah.
was looking bad for the side of Varus and Zillion, but they just turn around very fast and said Ronnie's coming back top.
And he does
And
use ulti
Nar
to get
comes
out.
out and he's just able to walk away from this. Gaston's probably looking to back and just TP back. Uh, Playing a very slow game for him. He doesn't have to move to anything as long as no one dies to Jace. Oh, they're looking on this Jace here. Oh, but Nar's here. This is yeah. They have to burn the Sejuani flash to get out of there.
Seeing nothing too significant happening.
Yeah, the game tempo's started to slow down just a little bit. Because anybody can snowball. Well, not on the side of Catawba, in my opinion. Nar has all of their kills right now. Their bot just got 2v2'd.
Yeah, so we have 2 kills on the Varus right now. He's way ahead. He's already got his not bloodthirster, his
Shield bow.
shield bow.
He's very ahead of the clock right now. 2 kills up.
Yeah, so this
Almost 2 waves up as well.
Oh, a play by Nar. He throws him right into the tower,
He
but
still might die here.
both
And
die in the
they're able
process.
to Nar's able to trade out the kills. Another Sejuani will come towards bot, but it whiffs once again.
Wow, that was a pretty cool trade there.
Most definitely. It was looking kind of scary. I was thinking Alawi might be able to get out of that alive, and if she did, that is definitely a tilter on the side of Nar, because that was very well played from him.
Yeah, that was a huge play.
Oh, Varzo comes out.
Seeing a huge play, 2 ultis come out, and it goes in South Alabama's favor.
They're pinging the dragon in 20 seconds. They should have priority from when it does come up. Cassin pushing in mid. They're gonna go bot, push in bot, and they should be able to get on the dragon before Jace is even up.
So they should be able to... Yeah, they should be able to get this Drake.
Yeah. So now they're going on the dragon. Easy dragon for South Alabama. If I was them, they're gonna either look towards a back, or they could even look towards Herald, with Sejuani being decently strong here. Nar's a little bit stronger with the Sunder completed, but Alawi is Alawi. We just saw what happened a few minutes ago.
And so in this last fight, yeah, it's traded for 1-for-1 despite being under tower after that. So Lowy right now is playing pretty well.
And these E's are really huge. He has really good I don't really remember what the name of it is. I just call it like grab.
Grab. Well,
Small
so does
grab.
most people call it grab. So that's what it will be, a grab. Well, or I could, I'm gonna look up the name of it while we're
The
in here.
the role is finished in for Cassidon. There's a trade that comes out, but it ends up going in the favor of Jace.
Yep. So the rod
It
is
should be a
finished, and he
Q here.
dodges that Q, so that's gonna be pretty good for him.
Rakan goes for like some cheeky wards, but has to dash out and gets his wards cleared anyways.
Okay, so Alawi's E is called Test of Spirit.
Test of Spirit, we're gonna call it grab.
We're gonna
Soul
call it.
grab.
We're still gonna just call it grab because that's what it actually is. And it
Their
looks like a
name's
fight.
wrong.
Yeah, they named it wrong, obviously.
The trade goes absolutely horrible for Sejuani. He tries to go for the E, but it whiffs at max range. It would have been decent. Sejuani's top lane again.
And he gets that, but
The ulti comes out, but the jump. Oh, the
Alawi has
flash.
to stay very careful here.
Nar has to flash out, which is honestly not that bad.
Pretty good trade. I mean, we're seeing top
Oh,
front,
but the engage comes in, but
and it's a double engage, and it looks like both of them are going to go down as a result. For this
a
engage, I
little
would have
greedy
said,
for the
yeah, it was a
for the
little bit.
side of South Alabama.
Yeah, I would have said the better move probably would have been for that Alawi to back, and then just teleport back. From what I can
Yeah,
see here, it's
yeah.
already.
They saw the rage bar increasing. They didn't see poor tracking on the side of the South Alabama. They didn't know that Silas was towards the top side, and the counter game comes in. And
Yeah,
Malawi's already at like 10% HP. She does not have enough resources to even contest this.
yeah. So
Varus ult comes out. There's an engage coming out. Should be some big damage coming in here with the Varus Q. Oh, but the flash
wow,
comes
and
in.
a
Oh,
flash
beautiful.
was a beautiful play, and it looks like he might get the kill as a second kill as well. This is
He
such an
just
amazing
runs it down.
combo. So from the last time we were kind of saying they don't have a ton of engage, but this combo is so great against Xayah and Rakan because what do you do once the Rakan is dead? I mean, sure, Xayah almost finished off the Varus, but he can't because now Varus has got
Resilient
ulti.
ulti.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
the Zillion ulti, so he can just play super aggressive without caring.
Yeah, so Zillion is probably just like a good counter versus Zyricon. I don't know if they anticipated Zyricon in general, but if so, very very good on the side of South Alabama drafting. But if not, if they didn't know that this was like a big counter to it, then it was kind of bad drafting on the side of Catawba because of the fact of
Yeah,
Zyricon can't do what they're best at, which is killing. Um,
yeah. Well, their best thing is that they are able to they combo so well, especially with Xayah. Uh, E, you have a charm that gathers people together, and then a knockup, and well, that's just perfect for Xayah. But they're not able to do that very well because of the speed up. Xayah hates fast opponents because they can just weave around her feathers very easily.
a big fight coming up top lane again. Very very bloody top lane. They're just always fighting each other.
Yeah, it seems like that's what we've been seeing, just non-stop fights in the top lane.
And it starts to see that Alawi is slowly starting to win these. The Iceborne is completed as well, so Sunder is still good versus Alawi. But if Alawi is able to just touch Nard, there's like even less so damage here. He's gonna look for a E here. Whiffs.
Getting
Dragon
the
is
grab,
coming
of
up very
course.
very soon. Yeah, the grab.
He's gonna.
Yeah, Alawi just doesn't care. Like as low
Oh,
as he gets, he just doesn't. Oh, but he's about to transform, and this is where it gets bad.
and that's gonna be a kill for Gnar there.
A
But
little little greedy here.
surprisingly not too far behind Gnar right now.
South Alabama was able to get lane prios and secure the second dragon for them.
So currently they are up one to Drake, but they are gonna end up trading that Drake for a Rift Herald.
Rift Herald a little bit. I'm I'm a little bit not disappointed, but I wish that one of the two junglers in this game, of course, went for the Herald a little bit earlier when plates were still up, because that's when it has the most importance.
Yeah, it has a lot of value then. Well, in the sense that if it with plates that could be a lot of gold, but if you think about it as well, it's also much harder to take down a tower with plates. Without the plates, a Rift Herald takes out pretty much all of its health, but it only takes out about 2/3 when there's plates up.
Hmm. And then the plates are just such a good source of income in the early states of the game.
Right.
But I guess it was kind of hard with both Alawi and Nar just throwing themselves at each other. Can't really tell who's winning because regardless of the whole differences, it just seems like they're always at equal because Alawi is just like that, I guess.
Yeah. So what we are seeing though is that they're almost exactly even on gold actually. Well, not exactly. There's a small lead on Narb, but surprisingly small. It should be much greater actually. He has the same. I mean, he hasn't backed yet from what I've seen, but right now with them at the same level, they well actually I guess Alawi's actually a level down right now. But Alawi right in this might be able to, and then Nar immediately
Yeah,
goes away. Yeah.
both OTs come out and he just has to push the Alawi away. And
Yeah.
regardless, he just takes so much damage now.
Yeah, you really when you're playing against Alawi, if she hits you with the grab, you really don't want to be sticking around for too long, and he ends up paying for it. He gets hit
He
again.
snipes him again.
Alawi is just zoning off
He's
him.
gonna have to probably uh he's either gonna look to bait this. Alawi has no ulti, but most likely he's gonna grab this wave, recall, and then just TP back to lane. At least that's what I think the best plan of action is for Nori right now.
Yeah, especially yeah in previous patches, many times you would just save the teleport, but in more recent patches, teleporting immediately after, to lane, especially after Unleash teleport, is just the way to go.
Kassadin
Kassadin
going pretty
almost,
aggressive on not Varus, and Jace in the
well,
side
they're
lane.
almost even, actually, a little bit, the Kassadin's actually up on CS. I think he could take him in a 1v1, and he does see everyone else is missing, and he's kind of forcing Jason down here. Right now, though, we do
Jace has
see...
the Maramana completed. Um, very close to having Kassadin's very close to having his Archangel staff completed as well, and just a few more levels. The quick blades coming out for Varus. I'm not sure about Varus builds when it comes to
And the Jace takes down the...
the difference between IE or Navori, but it looks like Zaya's also building towards Navori. I think Navori might just be better for Q spam for Varus, I guess.
Yeah,
And,
Navori would be the best item. I mean, you have on Navori, if you have 40% crit strike chance, and right now that was a buff for both Infinity Edge and Navori Quick Blades. Now it used to be 60%, now it's 40%. But your attacks reduce your non-ultimate ability cooldowns by 15%. So if he gets a really high attack speed, he could scale in a fight very fast.
the Varus ult comes out from Silas, but of course Zillion's standing right there just to save him, and Silas has to just flash away, and that's the power of Zillion. They're just
It's just making him invincible, basically. There's no ganks that can really ever be successful unless it really takes a lot of players away from their lanes to try to kill him.
the shield bow plus the just Zillion util in general.
Yeah, and he's also...
It's just very hard for them to pick out Varus.
Exactly.
They're gonna have to look probably towards picking off Zillion, but that's hard as well because he can just use it on himself. Use speed up, slowdowns as well.
And
Jade's getting a little bit too aggressive here.
Well, he has laid a trap for him actually, but he is getting a bit too aggressive. This is a good ulti hit. Well, not the best ulti hit. Not enough teammates.
Khan is actually able to just get away here. Oh, this fight is very split for both teams.
Both teams kind of split apart, so nothing really happens here.
The Dragon's spawning right now, but the members of Catawba had the back, but Jace is TPing back. Is this worth just starting now?
So it looks like you have Gnar coming up from the bottom. This might be a flank that's going to be problematic for them.
Yeah, no Sejuani ult.
Three-man ulti.
Alawi ult comes out. this is not looking too good for the side of South Alabama.
And this is going to be devastating.
But Alawi is still alive.
Alawi's still alive.
Alawi
Comes
is still
back.
alive.
They come back. I had thought Alawi had died in that fight.
Yeah, I saw her health going down to like, I'm pretty sure she was only at like double digit health, at least at one point in that fight. There
At
was
least, yeah.
she had no reason to like to live that long. And,
That was
because that was looking
insane.
very, very bad for the side of South Alabama at that point. But Alawi is able to just live with her ulti and just
Yeah, too much focus on her, but it wasn't working. She was able to survive long enough, and she's already got 2 items, which is making it really hard. Because generally speaking, Alawi is actually right now behind, but because they were all grouping around her, every one of those tentacle hits was just giving her so much health, and it was making it very
mm,
difficult for her to be killed.
doing so much damage. And Caston also was alive. So like the longer the fights last for South Alabama, the better it
Yeah,
seems like.
yeah, that would seem like the best option for them. They lost a lot early and quickly. We thought it was going to go in the side of uh, we thought it was going to go on the enemy side, but it ended up going pretty well for South Alabama there. Pretty surprisingly, I kind of expected them to just lose the fight there.
Yeah, it was looking very, very bad at the beginning because no Sejuani ult. Um, oh, Sejuani ult comes out again, but I think that Sejuani should stop using ulti from in like that sense because like sure it has like a decently like short cooldown, but like
Right.
that is their main like pick tool besides Var's ulti.
They are
And
playing super
they're just
aggressive.
running it down here.
Running it down here. That's a 2-man ulti from
They,
Nard.
they they should they should just kill. Yeah, they kill Rakan. They're able to pick up so many kills here, and I'm surprised that
They're
Catawba
kind
was even able to stay. Like they were deciding to just stick around after the dragon was already gone.
Wow. Yeah, there didn't need to be a reason for them to stick around, but South Alabama capitalizes on it immediately. Catawba College is now having to deal with what looks to be a Cassidon that is very high in farm. We're
Yeah,
now looking at
Cassidy just now hitting level 16, have full stack Archangel Staff and Rod of Ages. He is going to be a problem.
and he is actually, from what I'm looking at, like around 9 CS a minute, so he is going to be a real problem
And
coming into this next
he's
fight.
building into Frozen Heart, and it's gonna be very very hard for Catawba to deal with him and
Yeah.
Alawi as well.
Well, that's gonna be devastating for them because now he's just building so that the most of the Catawba side, they don't have a lot of magic damage except for Silas, and Silas is not terribly ahead in this game. He's only at 1 item right now, so
Yeah,
this choice for Cassidy is an actually pretty good genius choice to say the least, because he
a
is
little
building a
a little problem, a little miscommunication from the side of Catawba. The Silas is behind around like 800 or so gold because he decided to build the Oblivion Orb, and a little miscommunication
he
because
is yeah
Rakan is deciding to build
Oblivion
the
Orb as well.
Putrefier. So
Yep.
Silas is either gonna have to complete the Morellos when there's already Morellos and Grievous on Rakan, or he's just gonna be wasting his gold regardless.
Yeah, and what you're also seeing is it looks like he's building into 2 items at once. Actually, that looks like building Morel. I guess an Oblivion Orb. Because until they do, actually, I can see what's going on here to a degree. Because until
But the engage comes out and Zillion just gets popped.
Zillion popped immediately, but it's a
Oh,
one
they
for one
trade
trade on
support.
supports. And Sejuani's getting absolutely focused right now, but she's not going to quite go down.
Silas getting low. Both junglers getting very, very low here.
And it looks like it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade. I can see
They're
kind
gonna
of what's
just
going
walk
on
away
with the
here.
Oblivion Orbs here, though, because until a Putrefier is made, having more of that anti-heal is going to be very useful against Varus, and especially Alawi, because I think what they're seeing in the last fight is that they lost the fight due to Alawi having so much healing, so having 2 Oblivion Orbs is not bad at all in these fights, especially since there's more than one healer to deal with.
Oh, but Caston's getting jumped on.
They're looking
He's
to
able
try to
to
go
just
after him.
ult
Cast.
away. But Lowry just standing right in front of Caston and popping the ulti, and there's no like follow up that Catawba could do now. They have
Wow.
to just walk away.
And wow, another kill.
Wow.
Flash combo.
It's an R flash forward from Caston. He's that strong at this point.
He's really hard to deal with, and now they are
And
immediately
now
going
we're
Baron.
looking towards the Baron.
They have a 2.5k gold lead on south side, or 2.6k gold lead on 2.7k gold lead on the south side.
This is really bad from the side of Catawba. South Alabama being able to pick up the Baron, and then they're also sitting on Soul Point now. Zillion has to flash away, but
Yeah, with these
they end
respawn
up getting.
timers, are they going to even be able to? I mean, they are going to be able to get to the Drake in time to try to contest, but with being down this much, they're now down. Looks like to be 4.6, 4.4 k gold.
Mhm.
So how are they going
This
to
is a
deal?
very, very hard game
Yeah,
for the side of Catawba. This is a Mountain Dragon as well. The Frozen Heart being completed from Cassidon. The bars sitting on 3 items as well, looking to probably build Bloodthirster. At least that's what it looks like.
it wouldn't be
And
Infinity Edge because he's already building a Vori.
mhm. and
So
it's gonna be so hard. They have to contest this dragon regardless and go for a steal, or they just send Silas or something. They have to do something about this dragon coming up. But Nara
but
is
they're looking for a
getting picked
pick.
out. Nara is gonna transform, probably ultim back, but he still ends up dying. The Sejuani ult comes out. Varso comes out, but it whiffs.
And we're
They just
seeing
hit
they're
the
becoming
turret here, but
absolutely
Alawi is just
overwhelming.
walking in. She could just do this. She could just do that.
Well, that's debatable. She is almost dying in the
Has
process,
to
but
flash away, but then Cassidy just picks it up instead.
so they still are just completely pushing them out, and this is going to be a free soul for them.
That is a tilter.
That has got to be very tilting to be dived under your own tower, and at this point, Cassidon almost can dive people under their tower. He is looking at 3.5 items. It looks like building into a bad into a death cap, or I guess it could also be building into a Shadow Flame, but I would assume he would have built Alternator first.
Okay, can you is the overlay like locked? Like, can you not like move it a little bit or no?
Which overlay?
The like the score, can you just move it down just a little bit, like just a teeny bit,
Ooh, you mean
where it says the game score like USA 0 and CC 0.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
I won't be able to
just a
move
little
it
bit.
down at the moment, but we'll move it
Okay,
down
it's fine.
during
We'll
the
move it down next one.
we'll move it down during the next break.
Okay, all good, all good. Uh, but South Alabama was able to get bot turret and the mid inhib, and there's a free open inhib bot lane, and it looks like they're just gonna run it towards mid lane, get the top tier 2, and
Yeah.
just
So South is way ahead right now,
continue.
especially in gold, and this is really problematic for them. The Xayah is way down in gold. It needs to try to catch up. It is right now building Doms to hopefully be able to deal more damage, but we're talking about 2.5 items to 4 items on Varus. That's going to be really hard for them to catch up. They have to try to stall this
Mountain
game.
Soul, yeah, Mountain Soul, Shield Bow, Bloodthirster,
Yeah,
their the tanky Cassidon build, the Alawi is very, very hard for any damage to stick when it comes to
yeah.
the
So
side of South Alabama.
yeah, so it is pretty good item for them for Xayah to be going into Lord Dominic's guard,
Oh, a trade's coming out bot lane from Varus and Jace,
and it looks like it's
but
going in his favor, in Varus's favor, and the kill will
the
go to
flash comes
South.
forward, but Sejuani is able to pick up that kill. They're gonna just look towards the bot inhib and Alawi just doing Alawi things, just sitting up top lane.
It's just doing Alawi things, and they're still just going to go after this inhibitor. It's looking pretty bad for Catawba College.
4 item casted in level 18. and they should just be hitting the Nexus turrets, and then Kaz is not gonna die.
And Kassadin, yeah, he's acting almost as like a distraction right now, but they just can't win fights. He deals so much damage, but they are
Oh,
gonna take him
he ends up
down.
going down.
But will it
But
make a
allow
difference?
take both
Oh
Nexus turrets, and
man,
Varus is also still alive,
Varus is
and
popping off,
this is looking like the game.
and this looks like it's about to go
And
to
as
South
the ace for
Alabama.
the for the side of South Alabama, and then as the Nexus explodes, and as a game one.
And that is game one. Goes to South Alabama. Wow.
What a game.
What a game to start off the series. So, what are we thinking as a recap for this game?
Most definitely for the side of Catawba, um, most likely gonna ban Zillion. I I definitely cannot see them allowing Zillion again. Um,
Oh, most
I would
definitely,
also
yeah.
like I would also like to see a little bit more action when it comes to the jungle. Silas was like 101, and not saying that he was like irrelevant, but he was not like trying to, like, he wasn't able to snowball any of his lanes nor himself. And Styles is a pick where you have to do that, I think. And eventually he was just getting outscaled by everybody else on the opposite team besides Sejuani, so
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, what happened later on was we were seeing the side of Catawba just getting outscaled completely by by South Alabama. So trying to deal with that with Ilaoi, especially Ilaoi, we saw down at the Drake just absolutely destroying the Catawba side. Really big turnaround there. We did not expect them to actually be able to take them on like that.
I wonder if they're going to allow the Alawi again, or if they're, because the thing is that I think the biggest problems in that game for Catawba side was Zillion, Zillion and Kassadin most likely. Alawi can be dealt with, but the fact is that I feel like Nar had a lead, but was getting a little careless around Alawi, and as well as the rest of the team as well.
Oh
Just
yeah.
not respecting Alawi enough.
Yeah, there wasn't enough respect for Lowry's power in these fights, and one of Lowry's biggest what makes Alawi very powerful in some fights is just when the enemy team will, if Alawi is attacked by on all fronts, that's where Alawi shines the most. She heals so much, heals for every enemy hit by her Q, and is with her ulti going down. That's just a technical for every single opposing player. You cannot be trying to get too close to Alawi. When Alawi's ult goes down, the best option for Catawba would have been to simply back off for a minute and let the ulti expire, then go back in. Possibly even let the kill go, because then they could have ended up also getting the Drake, and they still would have won the trade and have 3 kills to 2 kills. It would have been a much better trade for them.
Most definitely that Alawi triple kill in the bot river close to Dragon definitely, I think, sealed the game, because that was going in the way of Catawba at that point, and they were definitely winning that fight, and it got a little out of their hand.
Yeah. Later on, it just kind of got out of hand because Kassadin started scaling a lot. I think early on what we were seeing is there wasn't enough punishment on Kassadin. You were seeing the. I don't think Varus and uh I don't think Varus and Zillion needed to be focused as much by Silas. I think Silas would have done better to focus the mid lane Kassadin, because Kassadin became a serious problem later on. Uh,
Yeah, either he had to do that or he had to just camp top, because he got a kill from ganking Alawi, and then Nar also solo killed Alawi right after. If he comes top again, I'm pretty sure the lane's done.
yeah,
And
exactly.
but we didn't see, once Silas got that top kill, it didn't really seem like he did much afterwards. Um,
Right. He
and then
mo-
also Jace, I know Jace probably knew that Cassidy was gonna play super safe and just sit undeterred and just play waves. So he tried to do stuff bot, but he ended up losing so much. Like he would give up maybe like a wave or maybe even two waves to go bot and get nothing from it.
Exactly. A lot of these early fights, Jace would just go bottom for these ganks, and they just weren't fruitful. I think that they wanted to get some early leads and hopefully get some kills early, but it was a risk probably not worth taking. They would have done much better to just simply have the Jace continuously suppress the Kassadin, because Kassadin was probably the greatest threat on South Alabama's side against Catawba, and so Catawba needed to make absolute sure that Kassadin doesn't scale. But what ended up happening is he did scale, and he basically countered the most damage on Catawba's side by building Frozen
Mm.
Heart, third item.
Yeah, I think that on the side of Catawba, most likely that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna see a Kassadin ban and a Zillion ban. If Alawi's ban, then yeah, it makes sense. But also, I understand why because you could just like why not? You could just ban something else. And,
Yeah,
but those two, I'm pretty sure they should not allow those two champions to get through again.
Varus. Yeah, they should definitely. Kassadin is definitely not the pick they want to allow through, but they also might not want. They definitely don't want Zillion through again, because I guess to a degree, me and you probably underestimated how good that was going to end up being in this game, but it ended up being really devastating for Catawba, because they ended up getting so many kills for Varus early on. And,
Mhm,
well, the main carry on Catawba's side was Zaya. They needed Zaya to get carried up, and it just didn't end up working.
mhm. Jace is also like a pretty good matchup versus Kassadin, but I just don't think that I think that he wasted a lot of time trying to go bot lane instead of just using his power, like his lane power, to bully down Cassidy, and then they can maybe even before six, they could call Silas over. They can maybe get a dive as well. Like if Jace is able to get Cassidy that low, and like they
Exactly.
just didn't really take advantage of Cassidy's weak early game.
Exactly. And yeah, that was a serious problem for them early on. So if they had spent more time trying to get rid of the Cassidans early game, it would have done them much better in that previous game. But they didn't focus Cassidin enough early on, and so Cassidin spent a lot of time during those ganks where Jace would just go bottom, just getting free farm. It was a bunch of space. Those moves going bottom gave Cassidin a lot of space to work around, and he ended up actually being up on CS on Jace, which should have been a winning lane for Jace, right? But he didn't let that.
Mhm,
But he didn't end up making sure it was a winning lane. He instead went transitioned to other lanes, and that didn't end up working in their favor.
mhm. But a very good showing from the bot lane duo on the side of South Alabama.
Yeah.
Um, both Brandon and Jack actually going crazy, I think. Carter picking it up as well. Like on the Alawi, it was looking kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. Uh,
It
from
was
from one
looking.
point going 0-2 and like
Yeah, it
I
ended up being
think
like two and
before like
five
10
later
minutes
on.
or something.
It was like two and
And
five by like minutes 15 or something like
but
that.
but
But
I also feel like that's like a Carter special, a light locust special where you just like kind of like overestimates and disrespects his opponents in like early on, and then
later
gets
on,
like
well,
maybe gets like solo killed, maybe gets ganked a few times,
maybe
and then he just comes back.
it may actually just be the entire strategy altogether. Have you ever watched the Balfs before? The Balfs FS before?
Yeah, the Scion player, right?
Yeah, he's a challenger player, and I actually watched a video on him recently where it explained in pretty good detail what his strategy was. Because many games you'll see he goes like 0 and 9, and you're thinking, what in the world? How is he challenger? And the answer is because he creates so much space, and it doesn't actually
Hmm.
matter that he dies a lot. He doesn't even care about dying. He just creates as much space as possible for his team. And we're actually seeing that happen in this game a little bit. Not as much space, maybe, but Ilawi was creating space. Managed to get the tower up at top. Uh,
Yeah, most definitely. Those fights for Catawba was very, very hard because Alawi Like at one point, I remember there was a fight going on mid lane,
We are
and
onto the
Cassidy was
drafting
getting.
phase. Apology, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
you're
We just
good.
got into the drafting phase. We are seeing the first two bans,
Yeah,
same bans
first
as white.
same bans,
Yeah, they
Akali and shit's coming out.
yeah they don't want to have to deal with that. I guess not wanting to deal with Akali and Fizz. But do you see the same ban on that side? They're banning Caitlyn. I'm not sure if they would have too many problems dealing with a Caitlyn, but they are also banning Lucian again.
I'm surprised. At least I have uh I just feel like they have to ban Zillion, right? Or or at least Cassidy.
I assume they
They're gonna
probably.
they're gonna pick Cassidy in the second phase, but they're gonna opt to ban away Sejuani instead. And first pick, of course, it looks like it's gonna be a Zillion.
They're just
They're
gonna go
definitely not
Zillion
gonna go
again.
towards. They're definitely not gonna go towards the Zyra Khan this time. They're probably gonna lock in maybe support and maybe a priority jungler here.
I
Um,
I'm suspecting what's going to happen is that they've decided to let the Zillion go through, and instead, in response, what they're going to do is they're going to try to play around that and counterpick.
oh, and Annie, another very very good champion on this patch.
Oh yeah,
Even honestly, OP,
well,
both support and mid.
I guess we're not
Zeri pick here.
Zeri and Lulu bot,
Zeri Lulu.
so that might be pretty good for them.
This was like the premier bot lane that was locked in response to Lushinami, like the entire like last patch, not like 13.1b, but before that one.
Right.
Um, that was like the only two bot lanes ever locked in for in pro pro
Yeah,
scene.
exactly. Yeah, and we are seeing here they are not as concerned with what bot laner they pick. They're just trying to they make sure they get Zillion support, and then their bot laner can just play super aggressive the entire lane, or not super aggressive, but come around level 8 we saw in the last game, or level 7 or level 8 they started playing more aggressively.
Zaya locked in and Amumu coming along with it.
I believe.
Zaya Zillion is actually really really good.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how it matches up versus Zeri Lulu, which is like I don't know the strength of Zeri Lulu anymore. After like all the ADC changes, I'm not sure if Zeri is more of a Navori's user or a IE. I play her a little bit, but I'm not sure if she's like as strong as Zaya, but we'll see. And Zach is locked in for the side of Catawba.
So yeah, we're seeing a Zac pick. So I'm believing that's probably a Mumu jungle. We're
Yeah,
gonna
most
see.
likely.
But we're also seeing Zac going jungle likely as well here. That's going to be hard to deal with if Zac can get early ganks. I think that's what they've seen in their last game when they were trying ganks early for Silas. It wasn't working out because they just didn't have as much range, and Zillion could easily get him away. But now Zac is going to make this a little bit harder. He can dive much further.
Mhm. And then the Alawi band comes out from the side of Catawba as well as the GP. And in response from South Alabama, the bands are Silas and Casante. Um, I don't think Silas was that good, but I understand the fear with having a Mumu ulti up. And I
Right.
but
Well,
I'm
it
not sure about Casante
Silas does
either.
not.
Jax is locked in as well from the side of Catawba.
Silas, yeah. Well, I don't know if Silas would be something they have to be afraid of too much, just because Silas doesn't into a Mumu into Zaya Zillion. Zaya's ulti, for instance, it's terrible ulti for Silas to
Mhm.
steal. Zillion ulti not as bad to steal, but it's defensive, and a Mumu ulti would be the only real thing that's aggressive. We see
A
Tom Kench
Tom
being picked.
Kench locked in, going towards top lane, most likely.
That's definitely
I
a
have
top lane.
no idea how good that champ is anymore. Most of the time he's bad, but I don't know. Maybe he's confident versus Jax. Jax being very very strong this patch as well.
Yeah, and
Since Syndra was banned in the last game and banned like multiple times, like maybe like I think like 4 times in a row was banned against South Alabama and is finally able to get picked here. And in response comes out Vex.
right, and those looks like those will be the picks. So what are we thinking about these picks? We're thinking, well, to start Vex into Syndra, it's sort of almost an even matchup. Uh, Once ultis come, there's gonna be a lot of potential on both Syndra and Vex. So
Mm.
that pretty even there. I think Jax may have the advantage early against Tom Kench, but Tom Kench is pretty strong. I can't
Yeah,
say for
I
certain in
think
this patch though.
yeah, I think Jax should be good at all stages of the game. Of course, Jax being incredibly strong, scaling wise, but then also Tompkins not being very, very good, uh, due to Jax E. And speaking about like going back to the mid matchup, I play a lot of Vex. I'm like decent at Syndra. It is an even matchup. I don't fully like agree with like the Vex pick because I mean it's hard for her to get on Xayah if Xayah has
Right.
ultimate. Zillion weaving her long range ultis.
Yeah.
Only really looking towards the Syndra. Um Syndra outranges Vex during lane. I think she's also a bigger lane bully as well. Um Honestly, I have no idea how this game is gonna go. Catawba's
Yeah.
looking to scale, but they're also not weak during the mid and early.
Yeah, there is a lot during their I'd say they're pretty decent early and mid game on Kataba's side, especially once Vex does get ulti though. Vex could start going for ganks top, maybe bottom, but bottom as we've said before is a little bit hard for them to deal with because you have the Zillion ulti of Xayah ulti. There's just so much protection down there. It's
Mm.
not exactly something Vex can easily gank, but what we're hoping to see is that Vex, in this case, Syndra does scale pretty good, but not as much as Kassadin, so Vex does have more opportunity to roam, but probably only at level 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm
level
sorry,
6
I
and...
was reading something.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, but level 6 and onwards, usually, for Vex.
Yeah. I think that on the side of USA their comp mostly res- uh revolves around choosing one target and bursting that target as fast as possible. Um a Mumu Q plus like Tom Kench knockup or Syndra stun should just focus in on killing one target and then waiting for their cooldowns, coming back and then choosing one target once again and just taking the fight like that. If their fights become too split, there's not much damage actually. And so hopefully they just go towards their win condition more so
Exact,
in this.
exactly. Yeah, that's what we're seeing, and they if I think on South Alabama side, they're definitely scaling probably a little bit better, but at the same time, there is still well, actually, that actually would be debatable. You do have Jax on that side, and Zeri can scale pretty decently, especially with Lulu on their side. This
Mhm.
this is gonna be a lot for South Alabama to deal with dives. Again, it's just kind of like I think Catawba seems that we're seeing a pattern that Catawba likes to build sort of divey comps with a lot of engage on their side, but we're seeing still kind of less dives and engage on South Alabama side, but South Alabama is still continuing with the Zillion strat, and I guess we're gonna find out if it works the second time.
I think that if possible, Syndra saving her E, well, depending on the situation, of course, every situation depends on another like variable, but if Syndra's able to stop the Zac engage with his E with her E, then it's gonna make the engage from Kataba a little bit awkward because Zac is definitely the first initiator and then everyone else comes after. Like Vex ult comes in, Jax jumps
Exactly.
in, and
Yeah, there is a lot of jump to go in, and if Lulu is likely going to probably build Shurelia's or something
mhm.
similar to get speed up, Lulu builds Shurelia's, she can keep up with the Zac once they dives, and then well, you have an ulti from Lulu to keep him alive, and Zeri ult, and this kind of dive could be very devastating for South Alabama. But on the other
They
side, you also see a lot of what you're saying before, a lot of single target uh, focus from South Alabama. If they can focus down something like Zeri or Jax and kill them pretty quickly, then that could be very valuable for them.
mm, they for the side of Catawba, they have to like if they're gonna look to dive on anyone, it definitely has to be Syndra because Zaya has so much protection with like Zillion speed, her ultimate, Zillion ultimate. You have to force Zillion to use the ultimate on Syndra. Not even force. Honestly, Zillion should just like later on in the game, Zillion just perma peels the Syndra and, until Zaya uses her ultimate, and then he starts to peel for Zaya after the ultimate is done.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, Zaya is going to. So they do have a lot of peel for Zaya in this case, just from a Mumu and Tom Kench alone. But also Zillion is going to be able to make it very easy for Zaya to get out. Main thing here is though, early game, I'm going to have to say that probably the Zillion and Zaya have the advantage, especially level 3. Zaya is going to be able to get a huge power spike right
Mhm.
there. Which is going to be pretty dangerous. I think Catawba College and bot lane is going to have to play somewhat conservatively, come around level 3 before until they get support from their jungler or Zac and maybe Vex at like level 6.
Yeah, I think that both Zaya and Zeri are pretty bad laners, and that's just my opinion. But I know for a fact Zeri is a bad one. I'll argue anybody's with that.
Yeah,
But
laning phase, yes. Zazaria is kind of
and Zaya's a little bit stronger during the lane phase, but I can see neither neither bot lane killing the other in a straight up 2v2. Unless there's just a mistake on one side that's just so apparent to easily get a kill from. Um, the only I'm looking to see a lot of jungle attention going towards bot because there's just those are the lanes that scale the hardest and well besides Syndra, but seeing how last game kind of got out of hand when Varus could not die ever after getting
yeah.
2 kills, and they're gonna either have to focus him or just leave him alone. There's no in betweens.
Oh yeah, there really isn't any in betweens. They just kind of have to focus the Zaya, and that's already going to be a lot to deal with. Just because once again Zaya is very can be protected very easily, and Zaya's I get the point of this pick because they're just doing the same thing, only probably even further now. Zaya's even more unkillable in this case because of her ulti, or at least at level
Mhm.
6. So they need to gank very early in the hopes to get rid of them before anything can before she gets her ulti.
Yeah, I think Zach is the biggest factor when it comes to the early game because he has to like last game he he ganked and he kind of just stopped. He stopped his like pressure. He kind of allowed South to take a breather and reset. But like
Exactly.
I feel like he needs to continuously put on this pressure, especially with the champs being not as like strong in lane besides maybe Syndra, but Syndra is very vulnerable. Probably trying to burn the flash mid, and then just honestly, this is a camp mid game for Zach.
Oh yeah, definitely camp mid game because it's not much you can do against Zaya, and honestly, there's you could get ahead with Jax, but Jax kind of wants to just be focusing farm. So the main most vulnerable location, the most vulnerable lane for South Alabama is definitely mid lane. Syndra does not have a ton of mobility, and if Zac hits the dive in, it's gonna just mean that Syndra might just die in the process, especially at level 6 for Vex.
hmm And then Amumu, most likely, I think that Amumu should be looking towards maybe bot and maybe just like looking at Lulu specifically because Zeri is just gonna hug the river wall and like jump away. And,
Exactly. So you could get some early kills
Yeah,
for
there's also not a
Xayah.
lot of damage coming towards like top lane because it's like ganking Jax as a Mumu Tom Kench. I feel like it's not really too good because I mean Tom Kench doesn't really scale that hard in my opinion. He's not
Right.
like getting him ahead isn't really gonna do much. I think you just leave top to be an island.
Exactly, yeah. And well, to a degree, it might be somewhat useful though. You don't want Jax to get too far ahead. But if everything stays kind of even,
Oh, and
we're
the level
seeing
two gank.
a level 2 gank.
Yeah, and as we were talking about it, the focus on mid lane, he Zach just takes red buff and instantly goes mid and burns Cinder Flash.
We are seeing, however, this focus having a similar problem we saw in the last game, though. It does mean that Namumu is now sort of ahead in a jungle farm, but not as much in since the last case. But Amumu is going to path much better than the Zac will, because Zac is just going bottom, and then he's going to have to go all the way back top. It looks like Amumu might be going for a very early gank as well. And he does
Oh, and
land
he
it.
lands the stun. Oh, but the fear goes away. He's still flash. Okay, so burning the flash back is very, very good. Um, Amumu's still relatively not like super ahead, but
Yeah,
Zach
he's
is gonna most likely look bot
with
and then try to get something. If he doesn't get anything, he's just gonna recall. But no, he's gonna get the scuttle and then probably recall and clear uh back towards Krugs and then
yeah.
go back down.
We are seeing kind of just being an island. It's not like either one can do a whole lot to the other. It's kind of pushed into Jax, but it should push back over time.
As
Not a
long as Jax doesn't lose too much health, because Jax doesn't gank coming in bot,
We are
the
seeing
Zac
a gank,
passive is gonna go down here most definitely.
and they are going to
Xayah
flash
forced
to
the Xayah
flash.
flash.
This isn't a bad gank for him. It's going to mean a lot of pressure. It looks like Xayah and Zillion might have to just simply back. There's a lot of pressure against Jack's top, so as we said before, there's no real reason for Mumu to go top. I mean, the Tom Kedge is actually faring pretty well against Jax. Jax might need a gank from Zac, but
Yeah, the Zac actually goes his passive gets burned, but he's able to burn both sums from Xayah. I'm surprised even after like winning his uh not winning, I'm sorry, living his after that, he decides to just back right away instead of taking the scuttle and the Gromp
right.
that's still there. So he's a little not a little, but pretty behind here when it comes to farm.
Yeah, so he is a bit behind, and we do see that he is now on top side, so Mumu might be able to just get both scuttles at this point.
Amumu just based.
We are
Oh,
seeing a
and he
gank.
another gank coming towards mid. He should go down here, no flash for
He does
Sidra.
get the stun with no leap
Oh,
from
but he
Zac.
has to
He's
just
gonna have
walk
to back.
away, yeah.
He's gonna
He
just
gets
be able to.
away.
But it does mean that Syndra is kind of similar to what happened in bot lane. They're basically having to just back out of there, or well, I guess they could have just waited it out. But
It's absolutely horrible for Zach. He has a lot of pressure, but he hasn't gotten a kill yet. Like
exactly,
he's ganked 3 times, which first one was not bad. Don't get me wrong. He did red and he just went straight mid, which was a good idea. He got the Syndra flash, but him coming back mid and not getting that kill is pretty bad.
yeah, we were seeing a lot of these sort of early ganks from the jungler on Catawba's side, and they haven't been very fruitful efforts. We saw that in last game; it was much more devastating. But in this case, there was varyingly better, somewhat better levels of success in these ganks, but still no kill.
Mm. And Cole is able to just the Mumu is able to just clear his whole bot side right now, and his ground coming up, he just clears
Yeah,
basically just full clears here. There's nothing for him to do here. He's keeps up his experience and gold lead over the Zac, and and then he just hovers mid. But the flash from Syndra is coming back up, so the opportunity's missed from Catawba.
and it looks like he's gonna miss the ulti.
Oh, Zac is definitely gonna go down here,
Zac
and
goes
that's first
down,
blood over to South Alabama.
And it looks like Vex may end up going down as well, unless
He's waiting for the Mumu Q. No Mumu Q, and she's just able to get. Oh wait, Syndra is
and she is gonna get the second
flashes forward
kill.
and ends up getting the kill.
So South
What
is
a
now up about 2k gold lead right now.
very good awareness from the
Yep.
side of South Alabama. But there's a trade
Ooh,
coming up top.
a pretty good play,
Oh,
but
but Jax actually is opting to fight this.
yeah, he actually does kind of win this a little bit early. Now that Tom Kench's ulti is out. But either way, it looks like he's still just going to back in this case. With no teleport though, he's going to have to walk back, but since he did push it into tower, he should be fine.
This game is going pretty well for the side of South Alabama. They've been able to avoid all the early Zac ganks and live from all of them, and then able to get a kill back when on a support roam from Zillion.
Yeah, in this case, the support roam from Zillion was pretty critical in that fight. It turned it from a 2v2 to a 3v3. It could have possibly been in Vex and Zac's favor, but with Zillion coming around, that just kind of made it kind of changed the course of that fight, and then ended up being a double kill. We're kind of just seeing pretty even trades. Sometimes one of them gets ahead of the other, but mostly really nothing of too eventful happening in top lane.
Um, on the side of Catawba, Zeri has. I'm pretty sure she started that call. I think if she didn't, then just probably had an awkward back.
Right.
But she's able to. I was gonna say that they could maybe look towards the dragon for Catawba side when they had the priority, but she didn't have items. But now she has. Finally went back. Has the Noon Quiver, I believe that item is called, and
Yes.
it's walking back the lane.
It's looking pretty even overall. I mean, Zaya does have higher CS right now, though.
Yeah, pretty even here. They're gonna Catawba should be doing exactly what they're doing, and they're slowing down the game. Not trying to take too many risks. They shouldn't have to try to coin flip the game off some desperate play, and they should just slow it down for Zac.
Yeah, it looks like once again, it's kind of just seeing a pretty neutral lane up here on top. Although Jax might be able to get aggressive here, but Tom Kench is able to use the bush to make it too much of an overextension for him to try to follow into such a fight.
Syndra has tier, so she's also looking to go for Archangel Staff. Like everybody knows, this patch tier very broken item.
Oh yeah.
Archangel Staff very strong.
Oh yeah,
And
especially for these very heavy mana reliant casters like Syndra, so
the ultimate comes out from Zac, but he just pops his ultimate, he just jumps away.
not to say a meta comment too much, but I feel like it's kind of weird
Oh,
how this game has...
he's looking for the ulti.
He is looking for the ulti, and he gets the
Oh my
kill!
god, he gets the solo
Huge,
kill.
huge damage there. I was about to just comment until something did actually happen, that we were basically just watching top lane for the past few minutes, you know, where they were last hitting a bunch. Directed camera being a little bit biased, if you ask me, but I guess something did end up happening.
A little a little of a misplay from Jax there. He just kind of popped his ulti and then jumped away, and then Tom Kench was just able to wait out the ulti, the resistance buffs, and just go back in and
Exactly, yeah. Well,
pop
and
him.
he had to jump out in that case because he feared something like what happened last time would happen, but this time he was lower health. So he was already on 2 stacks from Tom Kench, and if the third stack comes through, Tom Kench swallows and puts him right under tower, and that could be definitely death, but the result was he ulted early and he had died anyways. Tahm Kench doesn't back, and
He has to burn his flash.
he has to burn his flash, but he isn't going to be able to go for a kill. He's playing super aggressively here. We're not how.
Yeah, he really just doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean he has a stun. He's really he almost doesn't care at all. But Jax does come back with more items, but the steel plated steel caps really is making the difference in these fights.
Most definitely. Bot is just a farm fest.
Yeah, it's just shoving in most.
Xayah actually has a shutdown from just farming here.
Yeah. Well, for a second, I guess.
He's just gonna. Tahm Kench is just gonna run him down here. He's gonna wait out the ulti.
Well, he has no ulti in this case, so I think the Jax is realizing no ulti. He's playing a little more aggressive, so he has to be careful because Jax does not need to be too far ahead. He just needs to not be too far behind. And it is going to be a kill.
He goes down here.
Misplay on Tahm Kench's part. He probably was trying to get swallow on Jax, but he didn't have enough stacks for it to work. That's going to be a dive under tower.
Walks into the stun and flashes out, but I'm pretty sure, Vex just dies anyways.
Vex dies anyways.
A little too far for Vex to take that ultimate.
Yeah, and it was very well played from Syndra, flashing right under tower, so that Vex had to also flash, but will also mean she had to walk back much further. If Vex could have flashed out, not having to go as far, it might have gone much differently in that fight.
Another good roam from Zilean. Zilean always being where he needs to be when he needs to be there.
We were seeing that in a lot of these games. As Santa from Twice, it seems to always be able to just be at the right location at the right time. Always in a lot of them, especially the last series we saw, he was making a lot of very good roams, and that was making the difference in some of these games.
Going back to Farm Fest top lane,
I do realize
hitting
just
each other when
by
we can.
his gamer tag.
Sana from Twice.
I actually looked that up before starting the game. That's Twice is actually a band, K-pop band, from what I know.
Yeah, K-pop group, very very good K-pop group.
Yeah.
He's a little. His bias is Sana. Good choice.
Good choice, yes. And it looks like we are getting. Tahm Kench could go for the ulti, but I think he wants this Jax to come a little closer. If Jax leaps on the Tahm Kench, he's definitely going to swallow him and try to put him under tower again.
Yeah, once Jax's E is down, most likely Kench is looking to engage.
Yeah, that is one of the best times to engage because he can't really do anything.
Back looking for the Xayah.
This is very well played dodges. The Xayah pretty much doesn't get hit by a single ability.
Very, very messy fight. The flash is over.
Oh
my god. Wait, they're so good. What the fuck?
Wow. That is so... This fight... Wow.
It was like I couldn't even like talk about it because there was so many like good things to happen from there. Xayah very very is able to play so aggressively and so confidently due to having Zilean right there. So she just R flashes over the wall and tries to get like a 3-man stun, but isn't able to. But Amumu holding his ulti until the last second to make sure that those kills end up in the way of South Alabama at the end of the day, making sure that they don't have any flashes that they're burning.
Right.
Perfectly timed ult.
We're seeing a almost, looks like about a 6.5K gold lead on South Alabama's side. So they are really pretty far ahead. But not too much of a lead for Tahm Kench actually, surprisingly. Oh, they might just because he hasn't backed in a while and is about to actually get some items.
Another trade. He's gonna have to walk away from this with the Jax ulti on.
But he does have. Well, he does have the
swallow. Now he has time. Now he's gonna go back in, and this should be a solo kill for Tahm Kench.
Which might be a solo kill. He's got the ulti out.
Oh, the Jax E comes back up. Wait, I'm pretty sure he's still dead.
He's likely still dead, and yeah, Tahm Kench gets the kill again. So we're looking at a 6.5k gold lead here, or I think that's a 6.5k gold lead.
Yeah, I think Jax just has to he just has to chill. Like
Yeah.
Tahm Kench has too much regen. So even like
Right.
even though trades are like going towards Jax's favor, but the extended fights just go in the favor of Tahm Kench. So he should
Exactly.
just focus on farming until Zach or somebody comes up top lane.
We're seeing a 4v. It looks like 4v4 fight coming out, and it looks like South Alabama's gonna be on the
We're
aggressive
looking
side
at
here.
Zach.
He gets an ulti off there.
The Mumu
Zach's is
flash
gonna go
ults
down.
the Vex, but Zach goes down, and then Vex is able to just walk away. They're gonna look towards the mid turret,
And they do
and
get the mid
probably the
turret.
dragon right after.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna go right into Drake afterwards. And
No
once the
jungler on the side of Catawba.
the jungler dead, yeah, it's a pretty easy Drake for them. But Catawba does have this entire area warded just around the Drake, but it doesn't look like it's gonna make the difference here though.
There's not.
I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the warding though on Catawba's side. Uh, they've got wards
Yeah.
in a lot of pretty key locations, and they've just been staying up this entire time. A lot less wards on South Alabama's side.
I think that also the Leandries is coming out for Vex. I don't think that that is a very good item for Vex. Uh, it's most likely always Everfrost or Ludens, but I'm sure that he wants to kill these tanks, but I don't think that he'll be able to in the first place.
Well, yeah,
But there's a
in
gank
general,
coming up top lane.
gank coming up top lane, but it just can't. It just doesn't work. And this Tahm Kench is
He
really
just
showing to
jumps
be a very
away.
valuable pick. So much
Right, he
sustain.
regens everything.
He regens everything, and he's coming back. But he's
Flashes
actually
away.
just trying to keep him here because Zillion and Amumu are now responding, and he gets the stun off now. He's going to get away, but the Swallow comes
And the
out,
E comes in.
and he's going to put him over here, and it looks like it's just about to be a kill. But Lulu does get the ulti off to
Mumu
keep him
flashes away.
alive.
What a double bomb stun.
And yeah, it looks like the Jax is still going to die here.
Yeah, South is winning on all fronts right now. I'm not sure. This game is also getting out of hand for Catawba. I don't know what they could do at this point.
I would say, I mean, we're almost looking at nearing in a 10k gold deficit. I'm not exactly sure what they can do to salvage this, because we've been seeing is that every single gank attempt is just not working for Catawba. Even with the Vex engage, we assumed, oh, the engage would be pretty good, but it's just not working out for Vex. In the early in the game, we saw Vex going for an engage on Syndra. Syndra just played around that. Oh, you're gonna engage me? I'm gonna flash under my tower. You're coming with, and then it meant a kill against Vex. So they're really just having a bad time on all fronts. I'd agree though. I think that Leandri's pick, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I can see it against the tanks, but really, they need to be able to kill off the champions like Syndra and Zillion, and
Zach looking for the Syndra, but forces the Syndra flash.
Does force the Syndra flash, and Tahm Kench really just doesn't care. He's just constantly
Just in Jax's face.
Yeah,
like 24/7.
He's constantly in his face, and he does get
E
the ulti.
comes out.
But it looks like he might have to deal with this.
With the Zeri coming up.
And it looks like it will be a kill. Jax almost goes down in that fight, but manages to survive.
Oh, that's one kill coming back up. The majority of Catawba's gold is being on Jax. When it comes to kills, at least the 2 kills of the game going to Jax.
Right.
But it's looking very hard for, like, even picking up that kill looks very hard for them to stop South from getting these objectives and just pushing forward their lead even more.
Yeah, and we're still seeing, even after that kill, we're still just seeing about a 10k gold deficit. Things haven't gotten a whole lot better for them. What they really need to do is they need to hope that Jax gets a lot of farm. They need to somehow draw this game out. But in the last few games we've seen, especially the last series and this series, dragging games has not been very successful for either team. Whenever they want to drag a game out, it just doesn't end up working. The opposing team, whoever's winning and ahead and doesn't want to drag the game, manages to make sure the game doesn't get dragged, basically. They end very quickly.
The the Zaya going forward with
Zaya
the
is really
with the
aggressive
Gale
here.
Force is just there by himself. Sure, Zillion's coming up right there, but he can just play that aggressively regardless with his ultimate, Navori
Yeah.
finished as well as Gale Force. He just runs forward and autos whoever he wants to. Make sure he dodges good the important CC and just
Yeah.
and Tom Kench again just playing always in Jax's face like.
Yeah, this very smart move on Top Kench's part. He wants to be as aggressive as possible. Wants this Jax to constantly have to basically play in fear, because if this Jax ever gets too comfortable, that means that Jax is, well, he's gonna be able to start scaling, and well, Tom Kench is gonna be making sure that doesn't happen.
It's super unfortunate from the side of, and Vex almost goes down, but very unfortunate for the side of Catawba. They knew that they needed to do something early towards mid and just early in general with the Zac, but
We are seeing ulti from Jax.
nothing happened. There's a fight coming up top, but I don't think Jax even wins this. I think if Jax had like Blader and King, here comes Lulu.
From Lulu, and he's gonna get the stun. It might be a kill for him.
This is most likely is going to be a kill for Catawba.
But they're trying to give it to Jax, and it does go to Jax again. So Jax has 3 of Catawba's kills. That is actually pretty valuable, and we did, well, still not too much of a swing in gold, though. We're still seeing a 10k gold lead, but if enough of the gold goes to Jax, that's going to be very valuable for them coming the late game, because if Jax gets pretty fed, he can almost 1v5.
Jax is actually building towards, I think that's Kimpong, but I don't really agree with it, even though there's a lot of healing coming out from Tom Kench.
I think that's probably just the Executioner's calling, just for now. That could be any item.
Yeah,
It might be tempting.
I'm hoping that he goes for Blade Ruin King. I don't know how good that is right now, but I think that it would be good versus both Amumu and Tom Kench. And if he's gonna continue to fight Tom Kench in the side lane, then like him having that Blade Ruin King is gonna make him be able to actually possibly kill him in a 1v1 situation.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd say definitely agree. He wants to build into a Blade of the Rune King. If he can build that, he's going to be much more of a threat to Tom Kench. Tom Kench is going to have to get more help. That's going to create more space for the rest of Catawba, and if they can get more space, that's going to be invaluable. Now, of course, South Alabama does not want any space. They want to start fights right now, and it looks like they might be looking towards Baron right now.
I'm also just now noticing. Oh, but there's a jumping on Mumu, and the Mumu's all by himself. Where is he? And the shutdown goes over to Jax. So again, all the gold being funneled on Jax right now.
We are seeing some pretty good.
And Zaya Gale Force is in.
We are seeing a Gale Force. Jax does go down, but
the Syndra picks up the Lulu kill at the end, and Zaya's able to take out the Jax.
We are seeing, and then Tom Kench is inside their base. He doesn't care at all.
He just walks up and starts autoing the Zac.
This really got to be one of the ballsiest moves I've seen.
And Zeri goes down from Syndra. This should be 2 inhibs?
This should be 2 inhibitors, yeah, with only Zac up. Well, really, realistically speaking, I could see them ending the game almost. I mean, Jax is about to be up.
They have a 30-second timer on Vex, a 20-second timer on Zeri. I wouldn't be surprised if they do at least get maybe 1 Nexus turret, or maybe just being safe and running towards top lane, or even Baron here.
And that is...
It's something I just now realized, and it's only like I should have realized to begin with. But Jax has grasp. I don't think that it was too worth. I understand the thought process behind having grasp.
I didn't even notice that either.
But I think him having Conqueror in this matchup would be so good.
That might be the
Just Conqueror in general with Amumu
yeah.
and there's a fight
Massive
going,
fight.
but
It looks like
this
Jax is going to go down.
Jax
Jax needed
goes
to be able to
down. It's
play a
not much
little
you
more
could do.
aggressive. One of the problems I am seeing from Jax's gameplay is that he isn't using his E to try to get stuns in time, so that's becoming really problematic for them.
See, and with Jax being dead, that's all of the gold. That's all of Catawba's gold. And
Yep,
this is just gonna be game. They're just
they're
gonna
just going to
take the
end, and it looks like that.
turrets here.
It looks like that's the end.
The GGs are already starting to come out, and then there's nobody gonna be up in time.
Yeah, and
And the series is gonna go to
it looks like the series
South
will go to South
Alabama
Alabama.
2-0. And convincing matter as well.
Wow. So that was quite a game we saw. It was a little bit more devastating in that case. We're ending on a 2-0 series with South Alabama, and this is their second series victory of the season so far. So,
Going up 2-0.
I guess I just noticed that at the end of the game that they were running Grasp on the side of on Jax, and I'm
Mhm.
not exactly sure if that was the best choice for them
Yeah,
because
I definitely think if he went Conquer, he wins those extended fights. And with and Tompkins
yeah,
just having like a very, very big like high base damage kit because of course he's a tank. And then him having grasp, of course he's gonna win at those shorter ones. But
right.
with Conqueror being stacked up and having like Sunder, I'm pretty sure Jax at some point ends up winning.
Right, exactly. If Jax would have probably having a stacked up Conqueror just means that he can fight in these extended fights, but he was only winning in the short trades. The extended fights, Tom Kench was just ultimately winning, and they
Yeah,
needed Jax to be able to scale, but instead he built a grasp, and I think that was just not the best rune choice.
yeah. And short trades are not that good versus Tom Kitchen in general. He just regens it back anyways with Grey Health. So
Yeah. So that was a lot to deal with in top lane. They needed to try to drag the game out, but as we saw before, that South Alabama has a tendency when they start to get ahead, they just take that tempo and they start going for victory as fast as possible. They don't let games stay for too long. They don't want Jax to start carrying out of control and some kind of comeback to start, because we actually were starting to see that there were a few outplays from Catawba, and I was thinking to myself, well, if South doesn't try to play super aggressively, there's a chance Jax comes back and gets really fed and is able to overwhelm South Alabama with some assistance. But in the end, South Alabama just used their lead, of which at that point was around 12K, to just basically end the game.
hmm and but that is week 2, and we're going into week 3, 2-0.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
our team is looking very, very strong, and hopefully they're able to bring this into the next week.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll be able to bring this kind of success into the next week. We saw in the last series it went 1-1 at first, but they did manage to close it out. This time it was a little bit more. I'd have to say it was a little more of a blowout this time. They kind of just
Very,
destroyed them.
very dominating performance.
Very dominating, especially in the second game, going 20-5. And honestly, that fifth kill was Tom Kench suiciding under the
hmm
fountain. So yeah, all right. Well, in that case, that is the end of the series. We will all see you on next week's series.